If you're like me and not deeply familiar with aviation, aircraft landings might all seem the same. But in reality, you can learn a lot about the aircraft and the pilot's skills just by observing how they land. This was clearly demonstrated on an Air Force Reddit page back in October when a user shared a video showing an F-16 fighter jet landing at Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada, followed closely by a Navy Growler. Although the exact unit of the Growler is unclear, the difference in their landing styles is striking, and it highlights the difference in training methods between Air Force and Navy pilots. First up was the F-16, which took its time coasting down the runway before gradually touching down on its landing gear. Even after covering a considerable distance, the F-16 took its time lowering its nose gear. Next was the Growler. In stark contrast, the jet dropped to the runway like a brick, getting all wheels down immediately upon impact and quickly coming to a full stop. Reddit commenters quickly noticed the difference, with one saying, "The Air Force pilot is thinking, gotta be careful, don't wanna damage the tires." Another commenter said, "The Navy pilot is thinking, just land, if I walk away and the plane is reusable, nailed it." To understand why these landings differ so much, you have to be aware that Navy pilots train to land on aircraft carriers, which have runways only about 300 feet long, compared to land-based runways that can be over 7,000 feet. The much shorter carrier runways require different techniques. A Growler, which weighs 33,000 pounds when empty, often hits the flight deck at 150 miles per hour. To stop quickly on such a short runway, the jet uses a tailhook to catch one of several cables that stretch across the deck, known as a resting gear. However, there's no guarantee the aircraft will catch a cable, so pilots must be ready to take off again if they miss. This means that instead of braking, Navy pilots hit the throttle hard to ensure they can take off if necessary. When the jet catches the arresting gear, it slams down onto the deck. For this reason, the Navy designs their planes for harder landings with more robust landing gear. One Reddit commenter summed it up humorously by saying, "You wanna slam that jet down and get it hooked, otherwise you're gonna find out how cold the water is in the South China Sea." Despite the obvious differences between the 10,000-foot runways at Nellis and a 300-foot carrier runway in a stormy ocean, some say many Navy pilots continue landing this way even after they leave the military. Whenever they leave the Navy and become airline pilots, you'll still feel a Navy landing in the back of your JetBlue flight. Every time you fly commercial and there's a hard landing, just yell, "Go Navy." Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe for more military news at Guardian's Lair.